Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Big Freaking Friday Show on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me are my co-hosts and partners and all the things we do here. That would be Wild Ute and Moen. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Friday.
Doing okay.
Okay, so your
Four
procedures,
Ohio State players selected in the draft last night.
yeah, you just had to rub that in. But they were all after the 20th pick. So
Still,
they got in there, but it's not like they were lottery.
by the way, the 2021 Ohio State wide receiver room,
Uh-huh.
5 first-round picks.
That's crazy.
No way.
That's crazy.
5 first-round picks.
Everybody knows here I'm going Seahawks. I'm hoping. Can I say something out loud? I'm going to say something out loud here. I hope the Seahawks trade up and get Shedeur. Yep, I said it.
That'd be a good call, actually.
I said it. I think it would be a fantastic. It'd be a coup to get him that high or that low, I guess. So I'm hoping for that. What about Kansas City? How are they doing?
Yeah, they got the tackle they needed, the Ohio State kid. And they're going to need some more help, though, weaponry, wide receiver, and maybe running back, too. So the Chiefs have a lot to do to get back to the Super Bowl, though, I think. I think they're going to take a small step back, so they need to get some talent.
They are so good. They are so good. How about Cincinnati, Moen?
Well, we got a defensive end. Sam Hubbard retired in the offseason. We've been having issues with Trey Hendrickson getting that contract sorted out. So we'll see. The kid has all the numbers. We'll see if it actually pans out. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals also go up and get maybe a Travion Henderson from Ohio State.
And at the end of the day, what is the biggest need at Cincinnati? Like I can tell you Seattle's biggest needs. Do you know theirs?
Cincinnati's biggest needs are always on defense.
Okay.
If Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, falls to us, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, he's coming off an injury, though, and surgery.
He is coming off an injury, but
yeah,
he's certainly got the skills that Cincinnati could use.
How far do you think you should drop if you have surgery and an injury before the draft, so you have a full 8 to 10 months to rehab? How far do you think should you drop in the draft because of that? And I'm thinking specifically of what happened to Cam Rising 2 years in a row. Everything was ended, and he had that choice. Do I try to go to the NFL or do I try it once more at Utah? I mean, it's a tough question.
It is. What do you think about that, Moan?
Listen, it depends on the injury. I think it depends entirely on the injury. You know, if it's, you tear your ACL and your PCL and your meniscus, I can understand you've fallen farther back in the draft. That's a hell of an injury to overcome. Whereas if you have like maybe a broken bone in your foot, that's a little bit easier to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So tonight we were going to talk about a subject we've been talking about a lot. Obviously, everybody knows after the ACC settlement, we're going to be talking about where those ACC schools may go, what happens with the ACC, and the title of the show are the Big 10, SEC, Big 12 creating a college football syndicate. Syndicate is a loaded word there, Bowen.
Sure. I think it describes it best. Look, everybody benefits from the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10 all benefit from the collapse of the ACC. For them to actually work congruently with each other, it's tantamount to a syndicate. It's like the old crime families in New York. You had the 5 families. Now you're going to have the 3 families.
So let me guess, Chicago's crime family is the Big 10, of course, right?
Of course.
What's the SEC? What city of the SEC in for crime?
New Orleans.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
Yeah, I go or Miami. You can say Miami as well.
The Miami.
Yeah, we don't talk about why. Let's do some shout outs first. I want to welcome everybody for being here with us on a Friday night. Thank you so much for being here. All of you that caught my earlier show today That was a lot of fun. I hope you liked it. We will be doing that more. And of course, I love your feedback. You guys jumping and being with us tonight on this show was paramount. And I really, really appreciate seeing so many people and names that are showing up for both shows. Make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. You can see our contact info right under our names. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Turn on your notifications so that you know when shows and new news that we tweet about is out in the open. And last but not least, consider becoming a member of the College Football Mafia family. How do they go about doing that, Moen?
You can simply click that little cash icon by the chat window. From there, you can become a member, gift a membership, leave a super chat, leave a super sticker. All kinds of stuff you can do there. Maybe you'll even get me to say the dreaded GB word one day.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, members, we're going to do a live stream likely this Thursday too. It's going to be on Miami, the Hurricanes, and really how much they can stomach if they can jump over to the Big Ten Conference. Like if they're not going to get 100% distribution, if it doesn't work out like that, what would work based on the finances? And so a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And if you are a member, you're getting more and more content from us than almost anybody's putting out. We recommend you do become a member and then get to watch those member videos. If you watch the videos, nobody does it better. And you will learn a lot more than you're going to get from average nobodies on Twitter or Twitter all-stars that just make crap up. We actually use data. Sportico is one of the references you absolutely loves, and that's where opinions are formed. So we invite you to watch those shows as long as we're not on live. Go to those member videos, and we hope you have some time to do that. All right, let's do shout outs, and then we'll get to the topic du jour. Ryan Willie, who was with me earlier, member in kind of the College Football Mafia family. Fish fry tonight. I watch later, but Wild Ute, Wisconsin. Packer fans know how to party, and Wisconsin fans can drink anybody under the bus. Camp Randall is a must-see atmosphere. I've always wanted to go there.
It is.
So Ryan, Moan, Guy Gax, and I were talking a couple nights ago, and in Wisconsin and Utah are spirit animals, Nate. So the spirit animals of college, Wisconsin, Utah, we got the Badger, the Hawk.
Okay.
I was telling these guys, so, hey, love Wisconsin. I want to get out there to Madison.
Yeah, I would like to go to a game there as well. Moen, did you want to say something before I moved on?
Yeah, it's all right. Enjoy that perch. I know he's out there eating that perch right now. I do have something for you though, Ryan, since you popped that message.
Go ahead.
I want to play a sounder for him. New
Please
sound.
do.
3 Badgers. Badgers? Badgers? We don't need no stinking Badgers.
What the heck
That's
is
right.
that?
That's from oh gosh, Three Amigos.
No. It's from UHF.
Oh, okay. I knew it was in a movie from the 80s. Anyway, Stormy Cyclone checking in. Valuable member of the Mafia family. $5 super chat saying GoFundMe to Ireland. Lol. So Iowa State is going to Ireland to play some football. I can't remember who they're playing.
Yeah, they're playing Farmageddon out there.
Oh, are they?
K-State,
Okay.
Iowa State. Stormy, please tell me you're going to that game. Friend of the show, TJ Pittenger, was actually saying how great a time he had when Florida State played out there last year, despite the loss. He still had a great time. So do it if you have a chance. It's going to be once in a lifetime experience. Do it. Start that GoFundMe.
I'm all for it.
I'll chip in some money, Stormy Cyclone. You set it up.
Sorry. I took some candy and I shouldn't have. We'll continue. Let's see here. Wolf Ecta was on my show earlier today. He says, I hope you all have a great show and enjoy your weekend. I'll watch the show after the NFL draft tonight, hoping the Browns draft K-State running back DJ Giddens in round 3. That guy was very difficult to tackle. That's all I can
He's
say.
a stud. Giddens
Very,
a
very good.
stud.
Skaven yes, checking in, saying hello, gentlemen.
Hey.
Daniel Gygax, contributor to the College Football Mafia family, saying hi, everyone. I got to get rid of this candy. I apologize. It was a bad idea. I wanted my mouth to not be dry, and oh well. Let's see here. Good to see you, Daniel. Thank you. Antoine Johnson was with me earlier today. Appreciate that. Howdy, everyone. Another valuable member of the Mafia family. All these guys with the S next to their name are Mafia family members. And we enjoy you. What I'm trying to say, invite you to also become a member of the College Football Mafia family. Bob Swinger says, hey, College Football Mafia. Sergeant Pickle says, yo. Clint Moses checking in, representing Oregon State. Civil War Baseball Series is on Big Ten Network. If they decide to toss you a bone by scheduling P2, they will force you to buy Peacock, Big Ten Network, and SEC Network. Moen.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I love how we went from cable and we went to the streaming platform, and now we're right back to where we started at with cable.
It's true. It's true.
Now you got to have 15 different subscriptions.
Yeah.
And now they're all cracking down. You can't share them anymore. You know, I had a good thing going where I paid for HBO Max and Peacock, and then I had a friend who paid for Hulu and Netflix. And, you know, we had a good thing going on there. It was real shared camaraderie, and they screwed it up.
It was for about, there was a 5-year bubble where you could share anything you wanted to.
It was amazing. We thought we'd figured it out.
And I admit I was part of it. Becky Go Huskies, another valuable member of the Mafia family and contributor extraordinaire, $5 super chat says, how about them Seahawks? How about them Seahawks? Everybody sees I am Seahawks green and blue, and I hope they have a good round 2 and 3. And I'm going to follow that up with a comment here from Sergeant Pickles that says he's countering my talk about getting Shedeur Sanders. He says, Bomber, absolutely not. I would rather have no QB than Shedeur. Let's ask the question, guys.
Like, Shedeur Sanders is a much better talent than everyone's talking here. Like, I get he's got an attitude problem. But you're talking about a super uber talented player that could be a potential Pro Bowler for sure, potential All-Pro. I'm serious. Like, he's got that type of talent. Like, don't sleep on that.
Moen, what do you think about him?
Yeah, look, he's a talented quarterback. The problem is you're drafting Deion Sanders to your team.
It is a lifestyle change.
It is what it is. You're going to have to deal with Deion Sanders.
It's true.
The second that something doesn't go right, he's going to be pissing and moaning in the media's ear about how your organization's a terrible organization. You have a terrible head coach. And if only he was there, he could fix it and solve it. And any pick that Shedeur throws is not his fault, and they need to get better weapons around. You know, it's who wants the headache? That is my point of view.
He's busy coaching Colorado, Mo.
Yeah,
he's not going to be able to get in the business of Shedeur in the NFL.
Sure.
You think that he's going to get in the business of Shedeur?
This is the man who came in the first day at Colorado and said, "This is your quarterback," and pointed to his own son. Son didn't have to earn the job. Son was handed the job. He is more about his sons than anybody else. Yes, he's going to be the coach at Colorado, but every Sunday he's going to be sitting on Twitter, and if you don't do something right or he doesn't think it's right, he's going to be running your organization over the coals. I mean, like, I know people were saying Cleveland should grab him. Cleveland already had this issue with OBJ and his dad.
Yeah, I don't know why you want to do that again.
Why would you go through? To me, I get it. If he falls to 4th or 5th round and he's such an incredible value, you're willing to tolerate it. Okay, but I wouldn't take him in the first 3 rounds. I would not want that headache.
I don't think he makes
that headache.
I don't think he makes it out tonight. I think he's done tonight. Second round, and he's
second round. He's gone. He's probably getting picked right now as we're talking.
Yeah, I totally agree with that assessment. I think there is the prime you. I said that on Twitter. You do bring in when you bring in a guy like Shedeur, but his top end is incredible, and I think not being the number 1 pick, not being in the first round, really will have an effect on him. But who knows?
This guy not the Jets quarterback? I mean, the Jets quarterback, they can't get a quarterback. And all of a sudden, because nobody can handle New York.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders can handle New York. He has the spotlight on him all the time. It's perfect.
That would
be a
be
huge city.
That would be that's like nitroglycerin. I don't know. That would be really rough. Caleb Ramirez checking in. Ohio State, valuable member of the Mafia family. Hi, all. Good to see you. John
Hey.
Graysmith. I'm not sure if you're new or not, but welcome anyway. Make sure you subscribe and consider becoming a member of the Mafia family. Hit that little button in the middle of the screen that says join on our main page, and you can become a member. But it's great to see you. Thank you. Daniel Gygax already did. Steelers drafted for another 9-8 season. Hey, look, Seattle's doing the same thing this year, unless they do something crazy. I think Seattle's 9-7, 10-6. Sorry, 10-7.
Yeah, I guess
9-8.
Daniel, you'll just have to fall back on the 6 or 7 Super Bowl rings the Steelers have.
Yeah, right.
Some of us out here with none.
I think it's 6. Shonsky checking in saying hi, everyone. Shonsky, a valuable member of the Mafia family. Paul Bond, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on Twitter. Miami, Notre Dame to the Big Ten. That's what he's saying.
Mr. Bond is probably correct.
I agree.
That's it.
Drop it down.
Okay. All right. John Boxleitner. Fantastic name, John. I love that. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. What ship cap is Moen repping?
What is
the USS Blackout 48-hour bender.
That's the kind of stuff that happens up in Madison, Wisconsin. Oh, the 48-hour bender.
If you do want to go to that game, let me know. I would like to go see
it. Going to the game.
What game?
The problem is
What
it's
game?
not this year. It's Utah and Wisconsin here, but I think it's
Utah, Wisconsin.
Stormy Cyclone follows up his previous tweet, a message by saying, "Hello guys, Bomber. Sorry, didn't know you had a show. Yeah, that was last minute, Stormy. Nothing to apologize for. I'll do a better job of scheduling those guys with you guys throughout the weeks coming. But it is a new anchor. It is a new program that I'm going to start doing on my own, and certainly invite everybody to tune in. That's called the Bomber Blitz. I think it's a pretty good name. Let's see, Paul Bond." The Italian Petiti is shaking his head at this mob commentary. Is he watching us, Moen, right now?
Remember, there's no such thing as the Mafia.
It's the Syndicate.
Yeah, it's the family is what it is.
Just Italian-American businessmen.
To Town Hawk, Moen is not collaboration. It's just synergy. Nod, nod, wink, wink. It's not collaboration. Yeah, to Town Hawk, where are we at? Let's go.
Let's go.
Are you doing it or what?
What do you want me for?
He wants the Jayhawk squawk.
Yeah, it's the Town Hawk. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean there.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks for being here to Town Hawk. It's great to see you. Never mind Moen's lack of timing. The Big Lubbock, great to see you, Lubbock. It's been a minute. Welcome back. We do have some new member videos out there, Lubbock, so check them out after our show tonight or after the draft. Hello, Mafia, Big Lubbock says. Shooter Texas says Syndicate not great. Let's go for another handshake agreement. We could just call it the Alliance.
Oh, Shooter. Oh, that's a sore subject right there.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. That's so bad.
Don't shake hands with the Big Ten. Do not do it.
Good to see you, Shooter. Thank you very much for being a member of the College Football Mafia family. Les Austin Jr. is a fantastic name as well. Another valuable member of the Mafia family saying good night, good evening, gents. Those who stay will be champions. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Well, when you don't have to say anything.
I'm not going to say it.
Devil Frog checking in. Good to see you, Devil Frog. The OG of OGs for Mafia Land. What is this?
This is read that, Devil Frog.
Okay. Dion Mays signed with TCU over Utah and BYU today. I don't know who that is.
Dude, this is this guy right here. Dion Mays, cornerback, 6'1", 3-star, 88 composite. Good recruit.
Anyways.
Good recruit. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that. I didn't catch that. Good to see you, Devil Frog. Thank you very much. I think we got another super chat here, Moen. Becky Go Huskies says, as a former sailor, I stole valor, Moen. Sailors never black out. We stand for muster and nap it off after.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Well, I bought them. I think it is licensed by the U.S. government now. So You're just gonna have to deal with that. Let me see what the guy said.
Let's go get drunk.
Come on, I don't want to get into a war of the different services, please. Don't do that. Michael DeWolf, thanks for being here, Michael. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We appreciate you. Pitt, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Duke to the Big 12. I would be happy with Louisville, Duke, and Georgia Tech.
NC State, Louisville,
Virginia
Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think
They're
that's
the four
more
that I
likely.
want.
Yeah, Moen. Just on those four to the Big 12. Which ones?
I think you have to take Louisville,
Right,
North Carolina State,
right,
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
right. Virginia Tech.
And then it would be a
Virginia Tech or
toss. It'd be a toss up for me between Virginia Tech and Pitt.
Oh, I don't even think it's a. Pitt doesn't want to be there. Why do you want to bring in another?
Well, Utah didn't want to be there either.
I know. Why would you do it again? Why would you make the same mistake?
You guys, does Virginia Tech want to be here? Like, we're making the assumption that Virginia Tech does. Like,
I think
everything
they-
I've heard from ACC is none of them want to be here other than Louisville.
I just think Virginia Tech isn't anything. They're not out in public to piss anybody off. They're doing the one right thing, which is keep your mouth shut and wait for things to happen. That's what Virginia Tech's doing.
The old
Anyway.
Arizona.
Yeah, I get it. Great to have you here anyway, Michael. Thank you. Rob Ellen checking in for the Clemson Tigers. Good evening, go Tigers. And quick ACC dismantlement. We're going to get to that in just a second. I wanted to get out as many shout outs as I could. Give me a minute or two here and then we'll jump right into it. Steele Austin represent the University of Utah. Steele said we still got to get a show done. I canceled the last one. That was my fault. Good evening, College Football Mafia. Go Utes.
Go Utes.
I'm happy to say that on the show. It doesn't bother me.
Feels
I'm a
good,
man.
doesn't it?
I'm a man. Clint Moses, hearts. Great to have you here. And we're going to finish with this. Joaquin Morales checking in, representing Arizona State. Hey, Bomber, Wild Ute Moen, and College Football Mafia family. At hospital with wifey. Oh, no. Just had her third bone marrow biopsy last year. Okay, Joaquin, we need to have a conversation. Because I almost died from aplastic anemia when I was 19. The pain your wife is going through, I've experienced, and people don't understand. It's like they take a nail, a 3-penny nail, and they put it on the end of a needle, or to make that the needle, and they have to go in through the back part high up on your hip, and it doesn't normally just go in on its own, so they have to hammer it in with the ball peen hammer.
Gee.
Goes in.
Oh,
and then,
come on. I've had
when
it
they
done
stuck it out,
17. I had it
I
done
was-
17
I was a-
times.
Well, I'm not saying anything about you. In 1990, this is what they did to me. It's America Fork Hospital. I have witnesses. Anyway,
Yeah.
so they shove it in, and then when they pull the bone marrow out, it feels like your toes are wrapping up into your leg and coming up through the middle of your leg. That's what it feels like.
Ooh.
So Joaquin, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Prayers to your wife, and
Absolutely.
hopefully your family's all right. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
Yep. Just tell her to hang tough, Joaquin. I lived through 17 of them. Those aspirant draws, they do suck, but
Oh, just stop. We need to stop. Aspirations is what it's called. I didn't finish this comment. Let's see. We'll listen later. Go Devils. Go Devils. Talking about
ASU.
Arizona State. All right, let's jump right into the title. We've got people asking about it already.
real
Who wants
quick,
to- Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead.
put this up here first? Quinshon
course.
Judkins went to the Cleveland Browns just now. Ohio State now has 5 players drafted
Okay.
in the NFL draft.
I thought Judkins was an Ole Miss guy.
I don't know who he is.
He just transferred from.
I don't know. He's got a championship with Ohio State.
Okay.
I'm just kidding,
Okay.
man.
Let's get on top of this. So we are going to go right into our topic. Let me bring out that banner again so everybody knows what we're talking about. This one right here are the big SEC, Big Ten, SEC, and Big 12 basically colluding to keep the ACC or anybody else out of their little club. What do you guys think? First blush, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, so the Big Ten and the SEC, they've got this love relationship going on. Like Moen was talking about this week too. There's scheduling alliances that they want to form and everything to get bigger TV numbers. And the question is, can the Big 12 get in on this two-way? Can it be a three-way right here? That's the whole idea here. That's the syndicate. That's the relationship. Right now, it's just a two-way. Can it be a threesome? It's as simple as that. What do we need as Big 12 fans, supporters, to get into this three-way action between the Big Ten and the SEC?
Menage a trois? Did you just say menage a trois? So you think these conferences want to have a menage a trois?
I think that the Big 12 would like to have a menage a trois, but they're currently a little cut out of it.
Look, I'm all into menage a trois. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Well, what do you think about that?
I want the Big 12 to
how can we sell ourselves to get in on this thing?
If we're doing a London Tower, I don't think you guys would like what the Big 12, what position the Big 12 is going to be in.
The fact that we have no idea what you're talking about tells us everything.
Ute knows what a London Tower is.
I
really don't know. I mean, like,
oh, come on.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I know nothing.
I went to a Big Ten school and we partied, so I know what a London Tower is.
Okay, let's go. Let's come on. Let's get off of that. Keep going.
Listen, why wouldn't the Big 12 jump on board of this?
Right.
Great. You know what? The Big 12 is never going to be an equal to the Big 10 and the SEC. I think if they can understand that and say, hey, win our battles where we can win them, let us help the Big Ten and the SEC dismantle the ACC, carve out what we want from the ACC, help our media deal, help us get into a new broadcaster like Warner Brothers Discovery. I think it makes sense for them to do it. I don't know why they wouldn't do it. I get that a lot of people out there are saying, well, you don't do it because then you're just giving the Big Ten and the SEC more power. The Big Ten and the SEC are going to get more power.
They already have it.
They already have it. They're going to get more.
Yeah.
You might as well enrich yourself off the process if you can. And right now, I think they have the great possibility of being able to do that.
Let's get a member for 3 months, Les Austin Jr. First of all, Les, thank you so much for your loyalty and being a member of the College Football Mafia family. We really appreciate you. Let's give him a sounder there, Moen. He's Michigan. If you didn't know, he's Michigan. All right. Bomber, can us Michigan fans get a sounder with Go Blue or the team? I'm happy to record one, Moen. If I say it, will you cut it and use it?
Hey, you know what? Good news. Bomber has his own soundboard
that isn't being used right now. I can't.
And he could totally trim out Bo Schembechler saying the team.
I don't know why you couldn't do it. Just take it out of the show.
Listen, I still got one parent alive. I don't want to.
All right.
I can't.
Hey, Les Austin, I'll work on that. I'll work on that. The unit I have here is just too complex for me. Let's keep going. There's no other super chats, right? I didn't miss. Oh, here we go. Another super chat. Les Austin Jr. Moen, how much to say Go Blue? Didn't we talk about this?
$100. I told you it would be
$100 to say Go Blue.
We talked about it last week.
Ben Franklin in order to say those words.
Yeah, we talked about it last
Benny
week.
needs to come out for that one. I'll say it though for you, Les. Go Blue.
Yeah, Go Blue. Team. I'm all for it. Okay, so you guys gave your opinions about this title of our show. Let me bring that back up. Let me see. I gotta get rid of this.
I do think that the ACC, like it's in Big 12's best interest to make sure the ACC isn't part of a syndicate, right?
Yes.
To make sure that there's an A3, an autonomous 3 rather than autonomous 4. And so whatever the Big 12 needs to do to make sure that happens, to be that third conference, they need to do it. They need to pull any string they can. Look, the Big 10 and the SEC, they're going to get the top of the ACC. We know that they're going to push them. But the Big 12 needs to deliver the kill shot with the Virginia Tech, with the Pitt possibly, right? NC State, Georgia Tech, and all these schools we're talking about. You got to do it. You got to finish them off, and you got to become the third mega conference to be in a consideration for a syndicate. That's the only way. Until the ACC's gone, this isn't a possibility. The day the ACC disappears, it is. And this is in the best interest of the Big 12. Not for everybody, though. I mean, the schools that get left out of the ACC, this is really bad news to get left out of a college football syndicate. But that's Darwinism realignment for you.
So you used most of my answer. I just needed to finish one piece of that. And that is, I think we're not voting for the demise of the ACC. We're hoping for the ascendancy of the Big 12. So attitude is not emotional for us, except to say we want our schools, Utah and BYU, to be in the big dance whenever that happens. And if that means the Big 12 has to do, I hate the word, but kill shot to do something to force a change, I would support it. And at the end of the day, I think I'm changing my mind a little bit on the whole what happens to the ACC schools. I think as a compromise, they might go from 4 teams to 8 teams. They might go to 24 teams. Big 10 goes to 20. SEC goes to 20, and that'll be it. I could see that happening, and the reason I see it happening is that would be 8 schools out of the ACC, and it would really help keep them involved and avoid large suits from many, many members. We can handle a lawsuit of a couple members, Boston College, Wake Forest. That's Washington State, Oregon State. We see how that ends. We haven't seen a massive attempt to take out a conference, and that is 8 schools. But I could see that happening. I'm not saying it's going to. 20 is still my number for the Big 12. But I think they could go to 24 and then end all the gray areas. We are now at the P3, A3, whatever you want to call it.
Because we're talking about plucking 10 schools from the ACC.
Right,
really.
right.
Because like
Big
12, Big 4. Yeah, I mean, like in the SEC gets 4.
Right.
The conventional wisdoms, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson at the moment. Obviously, those are very debatable where they're going to end up. For the Big 10, it's going to be Notre Dame and Miami, likely. That's where the smoke is at the moment. And then the Big 12, as we talked about, Georgia Tech, NC State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, or Pitt. So there's 10 right there. Like you're looking at a Pitt, possibly a Syracuse, Boston College, SMU, Cal, Stanford that might get left out. Or if the Big 10 goes to 24, maybe Cal and Stanford get included. Maybe there's some more realignment out west. We don't know. But it seems for certain that 10 ACC schools are going to be moving. And there's only 18, including Notre Dame today. So that leaves 8.
Moen?
Again, I did the video a little earlier this week where I think I put together kind of a scheduling format for the Big 10 at a 20-team conference. Pretty much you could transpose the same thing over for the SEC and for the Big 12. I think 20-team conferences work very well to provide media partners, fans, and the players the best games and matchups possible. So I think you're probably going to get a 20-team Big 12, a 20-team Big 10, a 20-team SEC. The only one I could see going above 20 is the Big 12. Maybe they go out there and say, hey, we're going to be that 24-team conference,
right,
and we're going to take,
so
4 additional ACC schools.
So Bob was very clear. He said 20 is the maximum.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would take him at his word. He knows how hard it is to wrangle schools. 16 is difficult. We're seeing that with the SEC. They're already having trouble integrating Texas and Oklahoma. If they can't pull it off, basically doubling your conference by eliminating another partner conference, there's a lot involved there. I mean, a lot.
Okay, so if the Big 10 only goes to 20, right, rather than
Right.
24, that changes the game. Guys, Miami is not going to be on a standalone island. I know the Big 10's a travel conference. You're talking about Miami, Florida, going just cross country for all the games. That's insane. That's not realistic. If the Big 10's going to 20 and stopping without any more considerations, it's going to be Stanford, Notre Dame. That's the only thing that makes sense.
It wasn't realistic when they added just USC and UCLA for first time too.
They clearly were thinking Washington and Oregon.
They got there eventually, but there was a
Right.
long period before that happened. So And again, I don't know that Washington and Oregon really clear up that much travel for you if you're USC, UCLA. There's still a lot of travel. I
Well,
think
there was always travel though for
Yeah.
those schools.
I think the Big Ten is just going to take the tact that if you're in our conference, you're going to travel. That
Well, they
is
have to.
that
Yeah.
is
Ohio
part
State
of
doesn't
the
travel much. Hey, if you're added Miami, you're going to travel like unbelievably, like nobody in history has.
well,
They're
Ohio
going to have the
State's
worst
gonna have
travel in
to
the history of
travel
college.
too. Those Midwest schools will have to travel out west. They'll have to travel down south. Yeah,
Yeah, once in a
unfortunately,
while, Miami
I get
every single week, every game.
I get what you're saying, that it's unfair for Miami. But
They're
here's
going
the
to get
options.
at least 7 home games every year.
Yes.
At least.
You can either be in the Big Ten and travel, or you can stay with whatever's left of the ACC, and the Big Ten can go get another number 20.
If there's not a master plan to add more in the Southeast, I really highly doubt the Big Ten takes Miami and rather goes with Stanford and Notre Dame. Very, very confident in that, actually. I think they realize the same thing I'm talking to you guys about. That's just not doable in the long term, unless you want to go to 24 and add more Southeast-based schools. And that's fine if that's the master plan. But if that's not the master plan, it's very unwise to grab Miami as a standalone property.
So
listen,
ahead,
I don't think Stanford is an option.
What?
Stanford is probably not going to want to leave the Ivy League library system, and the Big Ten can't take them unless they leave that. So you're going to be left with options like Cal, and I don't think the Big Ten wants to take Cal. If you want to get a more West Coast team, or Utah as a possibility, but I know Nate doesn't want to hear that.
I just don't think it's feasible unless you go to 8, 9, 10 deep.
So I think Miami is going to be left on a little bit of an island out there, but I think Miami would actually prefer that, because guess what? It's going to be a lot easier for you to recruit in the South, being the only Southern-based Big Ten team there.
We're not just talking about a football-only member, though, right?
But
We're talking about everything.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. So lots of ideas about how that organization could work. And I don't know how many people believe in my idea, which is Super League. You don't change the conferences at all. And you can take your Olympic sports and basketball and do more traveling regionally. You can keep your rivalries. Basketball can travel more in region, less across the country. And it doesn't require the conferences to merge, disappear, anything, because the football is outside of the operations of everything else. So there are solutions to getting what you guys are talking about. It comes down to what are they willing to give up, and how important is it to reach whatever that limit is.
It seems to me that the Big Ten doesn't want to give up its autonomy in any sports, right?
Probably.
They want to hold true. They want to keep the culture. They want to play the teams they have. They do not want to separate. They want everybody in. It's kind of all for one and one for all in the conference once you're in. Based on all of our understanding, all the conversations with Moan, all of our Big Ten friends, it is that way. Once you're in, you're in. So I just have a hard time seeing them break anything away like a football for a different Super League and stuff. That's going to be the crux of it. What do you have to sell Ohio State on for something different?
Well, it's not a Super League, right? It's not the Super League everybody's been talking about. It's outside of it. It sits in its own little universe. And only the teams that meet criteria to be in it can participate. And it's managed outside of everything else that's going on. Ohio State, if they don't lose a dime of their money, why would they care where they play their football? Their basketball is going to play in the Big Ten.
Ask Moan about that. Why would you care? Do you care what league you play in, Moan?
As far as the Big Ten, yeah, I care.
Yeah, like what's your appetite for leaving and playing in a different conference other than the Big Ten or any other entity other than the Big Ten?
Nope. Don't want to. I want to play in the Big Ten. I want to play against, and look, we can go back. You can go look at the video I made this week. I did a sample schedule. 3 permanent rivals. You can do it. You can do 3 permanent rivals for each team in the Big Ten. And you come up with them. And like for Ohio State plays Penn State, Michigan, and Illinois every year. Those are Michigan especially is our primary rival. Illinois was a previous rival that we've lost due to the scheduling formats. And Penn State, I think Penn State's probably the best rival we've had in the last 20 years.
I just think we need to be more creative in what these solutions need to look like. We know hasn't been approved yet. All these rules have been put in place pending House approval. Let's assume they make the changes to rosters and she finally signs the deal. Let's say in 2 weeks or next week, whenever that time is. All these rules that the conferences have been building on to control transfers, to control what NIL has done, and everything else that they're trying to implement, all of it's dead. All of it's dead if that agreement doesn't get put through. The minute it's put through, a bunch of new regulations are going to hit everybody. And then that's when the A4 take over. They come in and they completely take control of pretty much any of the championships. The only one I have a question on is basketball. But they want to be the rules entity. They want to be the governance model. Yeah. And the A4 is different than NCAA or whatever the current college football playoff negotiation is.
Yeah, and like the biggest power is the power two, right? They want to. I mean, seriously, the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't think they have any issues butting the Big 12 and the ACC completely out.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's about that. Like that's probably their perfect world. It's like let's just do our own thing here. I think that's really where they want what they want, and so they don't really want to partner. They don't want to do anything else. It's going to be a slog to get anything like that done. So it seems like just more expansion in those conferences is probably more likely. Like the SEC in its own entity goes to 20, Big Ten 20 or 24. It goes back to like the whole Miami conversation. Like if the Big Ten doesn't change its structure and keeps as is and adds 2 teams, can you add Miami with the travel issues? And Moen says, yes, you can. And yes, it's an advantage based on recruiting. But I just remember the whole UCLA basketball team just complaining about the horrible travel they went through this year. It's his first year in the Big Ten Conference. And at least you've got USC in the same city, Oregon and Washington on the West Coast too. Miami's traveling like buku more than any of those schools because they've got nobody else. I don't think that's really doable long term. I really don't.
So let's talk timelines really quick. We've gone over this, and thank you for being here tonight, everybody. We're 45 minutes into this big freaking Friday show. We're probably going to go another 45 minutes or so. So you're welcome to leave your comments, questions. We defer to member comments always. Regular comments, we do bring those on, and then we obviously take all super chats at priority. The topic tonight we're talking about is are the Big Ten, SEC, and Big 12 creating a college football syndicate. Syndicate is a loaded word. We all know that. At the end of the day, let's talk timing, because the timing to me is really a big part of kind of how this could go down, and how it actually goes down. So between all the moves we've talked about for potential realignment, if we say the date is 2027, who's playing where in the ACC?
In the ACC, who's in the ACC and playing in the ACC? Or
no, who's playing?
The ACC?
Who's playing big boy football in the ACC?
Yeah, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia, and North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Miami is a question mark based on this travel issue.
And Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech, and North Carolina State. All these schools are going to be playing. Louisville. They're all going to be
they'll be in the Big 12. I mean, I guess what's big boy football? Is that
I think it's the P3. Football? I think it's the Power 3.
Power 3. Yeah, A3 then, yeah. The
Syndicate. We're assuming that happens, right?
What say you, Moan?
I think there's another possibility we have to take into account.
Do tell.
Who's to say that maybe the best teams that are remaining in the ACC don't get with some of the higher tier teams in the Big 12 and form a completely new Power 3 conference of their own.
The mythical other conference.
The mythical other conference. Okay. Let's say Miami and Notre Dame and Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia all leave. what's stopping teams from like Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh?
Money.
Again,
The Big 12 will be able to pay way more than any rump ACC team that has Florida State and Clemson and even Notre Dame out. We're talking down in the 15 to 20 million range. And we can track that back by looking at the valuations that we have seen for well over 2 years from you. There is not a viable conference you can build without stealing from one of the other P3 conferences. Can't do it with backfills.
Oh no, I agree. I think you would have
the
to
other
steal.
conference. The other conference is not going to have enough value. It's going to be the Big 12.
Yeah,
I think you would have to steal from another conference. That was kind of the point I was making. You would steal from the Big 12 to make this new conference.
Yeah, I just it's a bird
now
in the
it's
hand.
difficult to digest that and everything. But there's, I mean, like Utah would be interested in that. Like you know that, I know that, Nate. Like if Utah had a chance to jump over, like, and so it's not
to go to the other conference.
Oh yeah, they would.
Yeah,
you know that. I know that.
I don't know. Like, I don't care if you want to go or not. I don't know where you get the money.
Well, the thing is, like, what makes the Big 12 valuable? Who's driving the value in the Big 12?
Well,
like, how are they getting the money?
It's an established conference that they have billables that they can bank today. They don't have to make anything up from scratch. And the other conference you're talking about is from coast to coast with very sparse areas that don't have any partners.
I think that
I don't know where you get the money from.
Is if the only way the best of the rest idea happens if Florida State doesn't get in the
That's
SEC.
what I'm saying. That's
right.
Look,
I agree with that.
That's the premise.
The crux of it. Right.
Without Florida State and Clemson, nothing works.
I agree with that, actually. Like if Florida State and Clemson do not get in the Power 2, then that is a real and very likely possibility, actually.
Oh, I think it probably will happen. If they don't get an invite up, I think they do another conference. I think there's no doubt about it. I think Notre Dame will be another scheduling partner, but they're not gonna join. And then it would still be a P4, and then there would be fights between the ACC and the Big 12, real fights over brands. There's no doubt about it. Everything is keyed, though. We've been talking about it for almost 3 years. Everything's keyed on Florida State and Clemson, and if they get invites up, the jig is up.
Yeah, it's probably true. What do you think about that, Moan?
Again, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to rule it out and say it's a 100% impossibility because.
Well, we can't say that, of course.
Right. So, I don't know. Again, I think the Big 12 is probably going to have to throw in with the Big 10 and the SEC, and they're going to have to accept their role as number 3 in the junior partner in that partnership.
I agree.
And in order to peel off the best value they can from the ACC for their conference. So.
No doubt about it. Let's get to the super chat from Becky, who's on top of all West Coast sports, certainly women's sports. $2 super chat saying UCLA men complained women dominated and traveled. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that?
I know their women's team is extremely good at UCLA. I didn't know that the women just won and shut their mouth while the men were squawking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's pretty telling. I mean, yeah, if you're winning, you're probably not talking.
Gonna have to get back to this. Seattle had a draft. They picked up a receiver. I can't figure out his name here. Nick Emanwari. Do you guys know who that is?
Oh, he's a kid from South Carolina. He's not a receiver. He's
I didn't know what he was.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's a safety, I believe, a free safety.
Ooh, good. We need big in the back end. I'm glad with that. Evidently, they traded up. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so we've gone through those. We've talked about timing. We talked about the constituent conferences and where those members may or may not go. None of this is news today, but I think really what we're talking about tonight is very real is timing. The CFP negotiations are happening as we speak. They're happening in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. They're going to try to nail down that 2025 schedule, how many games, how many teams, that. Once that's out, the next big marker is the college football playoff ranking, contract for 2026 and forward. And that by itself will dictate in a lot of ways, I think, what realignment may look like.
Yeah, I think that 2028 is the year you have to be in a different conference.
Yeah,
That's what
I
the
agree
numbers
with you.
support, right?
Yeah, I
So that
agree.
means that announcing, I don't know, like I don't know the ins and outs of when you need to announce to be in a conference playing in the 2028 football season.
Right.
But like that means probably in 2026 next year you need to be announcing.
Right.
So if we're
If you want
talking
to
about
play,
timelines,
yeah. Sorry.
yeah. If
No,
you
go ahead.
want to talk about timelines, I think that we're talking about in the next 18 months. This shakes out.
To declare, to get ready to plan, to move forward. I could not agree more. I actually think the date is 2027, but we're splitting hairs. If it is 2027, I think August is that terminal date you're talking about that everybody has to decide if they're going to move on or not to avoid other penalties of some sort. So the college football playoff negotiations, I think, are massive in this conversation. Sort of the lurker off screen that gets you at the very end. People aren't paying attention. I'm dead serious. Well, actually, we don't need to talk about it now, but we need to do a show on the Mountain West and the Pac-12, right?
The Pac-12.
Their media deals need to get. Yeah, I don't know. They can't get an 8th school. That's a different show. Okay, so we talk timing, we talk teams, we talk conferences. Now, I guess at the end of the day, what's the organization look like, Moen?
That's a great question. And how does it all go down? I see it like it's a Jenga, like a Jenga tower.
Okay.
Just every day. You know, oh, you guys consider here. Oh, you consider here. Oh, consider there. And then at one point, North Carolina's going, yep, we're out. And then it's just going to fall. It's going to fall, and it's going to be in quick succession. I think North Carolina's going to be out. Then you're going to have Virginia out. You're going to have Florida State out, Clemson out. You're going to have Miami out. You're probably going to have Notre Dame out. You're going to have schools bailing quickly on the ACC to secure a spot with the Big 12. Yes. I think you're going to have Louisville is going to bail very quickly.
Yeah.
They're going to give up some money. They're going to give up some of that money that is being made, but or they could schedule it. Louisville could say, hey, we're going to stick with the ACC for a few more years, but eventually we are Big 12 bound.
I know it's, what is it, 18 million a year comes off the docket every year through 2030, 31. I cannot think of one reason why you wouldn't want to do it sooner than later. You have security. You now know you're part of this larger organization you're not going to get relegated, Washington State and Oregon State style.
The only thing I would bring up, Bomber, is we don't know how those payments are going to be made from the buyouts.
Of course, but I think they're staged. You're not going to write a check for 168 million. You'll write a check for 10 million for 20 years.
Sure, but if the majority of your people want out of what's remaining of the ACC, can't they force that issue? Say there's 18 teams in the ACC now if you include Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So we're going to take away 6 of them.
Okay.
That leaves 12.
Yeah.
Let's say 8 of them find homes.
Right.
Let's say 8 of those schools find homes.
Okay.
Don't you think that they could literally dictate to the other schools that, oh no, we're going to get this payoff from them immediately?
That's not maybe try to force the issue, but there's no precedent for that. Historically, with conference realignment, it's all been staggering payments, and usually out of your future media rights. This would be a different case. Go ahead.
Teacher. I have a question. Wild Professor.
What's going on?
D5 Terps has it put down there in the comment section. The dissolution theory. If Florida State announces tomorrow, you could easily see 9 teams vote, including Florida State, to dissolve the ACC. Then you get rid of all the buyouts.
Yeah, that's the theoretical. That's theoretical. No one's ever done it before.
Nobody's ever done it.
So that's like, I mean, that's in theory. That's what could happen. I don't know in practice if it would happen like that. I don't know if there's any lawsuit risk with that. No.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
There's always going to be lawsuit risk.
Yeah,
everywhere.
like the Pac-12 is a reference, right? Yeah. We know how that looks.
This is so like if it doesn't go to dissolution. So what happens like if a school like Florida State, if they happen to leave in Louisville, let's talk about Louisville. If they stay around, does the buyout money reduce because the value of the conference is less because Florida State is no longer in it?
That's a great question.
That's the question no one knows. And because does the ESPN contract, will it reduce and prorate back to a lower level if teams like a Florida State leave, or does it remain static? Nobody knows that. And so the buyout, in theory, the highest it's ever going to be is 165 million. The worst case scenario.
Down. Yeah.
But best case scenario, if FSU leaves and they already have they bring 15, 20% of the eyeballs, maybe the conference value decreases by 15 to 20%.
I think it's fair.
Then you go to the courts and fight that and fight a cheaper buyout.
I would say this. I think Bob Thompson, who was one of the people that helped them with that process, I think he would have worked in the answer to that with the lawyers. I don't know that for sure. I'm going to ask him, because dissolution is one of those tantalizing ideas that's been hanging out there forever. We didn't invent it tonight. Thank you, D5 Terps. I appreciate you posting that because it was perfect segue. I think at the end of the day, you could easily see the ACC cease to exist in a weekend. I think FSU boosters say enough is enough. We did talk to the SEC. They're going to let us in. Here's the check. I don't care what they're making for a share, full share, half share. FSU's off the board. Now Clemson's holding that conference together, and they're looking around and saying, I don't want to be without a chair. So they're going to do the same thing, right? And these teams that leave essentially destroy the conference as a power conference, because not one team, it's easily 9-10 teams.
The best case scenario for the Big 12 is if Florida State and Clemson happen to jump.
Right.
North Carolina's at. And all of a sudden the Big Ten's looking at grabbing a Miami, but deciding the travel issues are too much and they can't pull the trigger on Miami.
Right.
Miami gets left out there like they
that
should
would
be.
Suck. That would suck.
Well, that would suck. But guess who would scoop Miami up?
Oh, Big 12 for sure.
That's an outside scenario, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. It's not likely.
Right. No, not at all.
That's the best case scenario for Big 12 is adding Miami, because the Big Ten's just gosh, we can't leave Long Island out there.
I could not agree with you more. I think every one of those questions is vital, and I guarantee you these schools have lawyers out there trying to effort what the final answer would be. At the end of the day, if dissolution is a real possibility, then that's where I think these schools would get together and say, do you want to pay 165? Do you want to pay 165? Why are we leaving money on the table for people that we're trying to get away from? In a conference that we're running away from the ACC, why would we want to write them a check for any money? Why don't we just say, what the hell, turn out the lights? You guys clean the chalkboards.
If for dissolution, I think that you need 12 votes or more.
I thought it was 10. But
Mon, do you know the answer to that? How many votes for the expansion? There's in the bylaws, there's some language with how many votes you need.
The bylaws that we've been able to find, it was 3/4.
Okay.
That sounds right.
So 3/4 for full members. But the way this ends up happening, guys, I think you're going to have 4 voices all at once say we out. You're going to have Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia. Right. They're going to announce in one fell swoop, we out.
Right.
The only way we're going to hear about it ahead of time is you're going to have an issue with Virginia Tech. That has to be resolved somehow.
Well, North Carolina State has to be resolved.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot easier to resolve North Carolina State.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, because I think you give them they're going to the Big 12. They're getting probably a $10 million a year payday on top of it from their friends at UNC, just like Cal got. And Virginia Tech one, that's one that kind of makes me stop and wonder, though, because I don't know that Virginia Tech's going to be happy with just a payoff.
So let's answer this question from Mr. Monkey says, good to see you, Monkey. It's been a minute. I clap you in the house tonight. Is it possible Dissolution was taken off the table in exchange for reduced fees? Yes, that is possible.
It's possible.
We haven't, the three of us have not seen the agreed to final order yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's deep in the basement somewhere. Wherever that agreement is, nobody knows that, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Mr. Monkey says Dissolution may have been given away as a trade for the money. That's absolutely possible. I want to answer this question from Antoine Johnson as well. Antoine, thank you very much for your message here. I think there is a better chance the top 8 to 10 brands of the ACC form a new conference and poach the Big 12 before Miami ever joins the Big 12. Let's do the math, Antoine. Top 8, 10 brands. You're assuming that none of the 4 brands Moen just mentioned gets a call up to the Big 10 or the SEC. That's what that sentence is assuming. Because if you lose those top 4, 5 brands, you lose over half of your viewership. Your brands can't carry. I'm not saying your brands. Brands can't be carried. We did the math. We're not making this up. We did the math, and they needed somewhere closer to 300 million to stay viable. And they gave away half of it, essentially. You want to clarify or add anything to that?
Well, I'll just add what we said earlier. If Florida State doesn't jump and nobody jumps, this is a completely viable solution. Yep, Miami's never going to abandon a Florida State, a UNC, Clemson. But in a situation where they're gone and Miami does not be, if they cannot get in the Big Ten, look, and they've got a good shot at it, guys. But like if they don't end up in the Big Ten, what are they going to do? They're not going to stay in the ACC without Florida State, Notre Dame, UNC, Clemson. Miami fan base is receptive to the Big 12. We've talked to them before. They're not completely against the Big 12 at all. So I think that it needs to be discussed at least. I don't say it's likely. It's unlikely, y'all. But it still needs to be discussed. It could happen.
Completely agree. Go ahead.
Let's be honest, if presented with it, Miami has the choice of less travel and being in the Big 12, not being on their own island, or being on their own island in the Big 10 with more travel. What option does Miami take?
Of course, they're going to the Big 10. It's not even a thought.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a question.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm saying that the Big 10 needs to make the decision if Miami is at a bowl with just being a standalone property in Southern Florida when you've got nothing else in the region. That is a good question. And like we talked last week, we were joking a couple days ago about all the research the Big 10 does. Research mental health and what travel can do to your mental health. That's real stuff. That is a real possibility, and that's a real liability for Big 10.
I agree with you, but I also want to put forth that these are no longer student athletes. These are student athlete employees. And guess what?
They're not employees yet.
Not yet, but they will be.
Not yet.
They eventually will be. So
something's going to change.
I've had to travel for work too, and it affected my mental health. Let me just put it that way.
Let Greg Fugar helicoptered in. I appreciate you joining, Greg. It's great to see you on a Friday night. He's been listening to our Disillusioned Talk, and I know for a fact he knows about it because he's spent the better part of 2 years trying to track down actually what that means. And he says, peek around the corner, by the way, the Flug Empire on Twitter. I don't believe there is dissolution language in ACC bylaws, so it reverts to North Carolina state law on dissolving a nonprofit organization, which takes 50% plus 1 vote. That would be 10. Dissolution might have been bargained away.
Yep.
So we don't know if it was, but Greg's saying that's what it was before. State law is 50% plus 1.
That's 10 votes, guys. You can get 10 votes today.
I think you can. I think you can. The Big 12 promises anybody who's in the top 10 that can't find a P2 invite, we'll bring you on the Big 12. I could see Brett Yormark doing that. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, if dissolution is still there and not negotiated away, it's a possibility.
Right.
And it's a cheap way to get out. It's a very cheap way to get out.
It's the best way for everybody that has a spot, not for the people left behind. Go Black 45 again, one of the best OG, fantastic names in the Twitter and YouTuberverse. We appreciate you, Go Black. Greg said earlier, another thing that might hurt the Big 12 is the bowl contracts are coming to an end soon. The P2 want more bowl games against P2. In my opinion, I don't think that's going to be. I mean, it might be a thing, but I don't know how it would become a thing. Because at the end of the day, the bowl games isn't where you want to be. You want to be in the playoff. Bowl games are all, what do you call those? Amateurs.
Exhibition games.
Exhibition games. Yeah. Go ahead. What do you guys think?
The Big Ten and the SEC, they want to form their own thing. It's clear as day. It's been reported. They want to get it done. And the reason for it is TV ratings. Let's be honest about it. That's at the root of it. They want more money. Next contract, bigger games, bigger matchups versus the biggest brands. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're trying to cut Big 12 and ACC out of bowl games because they don't draw as many eyeballs.
Well, I mean, certain ones do.
Like in general, I think we need to admit that the Big 12 versus Big 10 is probably not going to draw as many eyeballs as you.
I am not saying that at all. I'm not.
I'm saying that. I'm definitely saying that.
I am not. No, what I'm saying is I'm not saying the opposite. I agree with you. That's what I'm trying to get across.
And so, you don't know who's going to be pitted in the bowl game. You just have hey, this is the 7th team in the SEC. It might be a Florida, right?
Right.
Might be a really good draw and stuff. So the networks are going to want that. ESPN is going to want that. They're going to push that. There's more and more pressure on the P2 consolidation that's going to happen. And so what can Big 12 do to be a part of that party and be
assist the other two in dismantling the ACC, being the bad guys?
Yeah.
That is the trade.
Yeah.
The Big 12 is the big bad Big 12, blew up the ACC. Oh, and the Big 10 and SEC just came along and saw some, hey, you want to come along? You want to come along? But Big 12 is the bad guy.
Yeah.
I could totally see that trade happening.
They're all bad guys. They're all bad guys in that situation. Everybody has blood on their hands in that situation.
Right.
And then nobody can go around and go, I don't have blood on my hands. No, everybody's got blood on their hands. It's resolved. Everybody's a bad guy. There are no good guys in that scenario.
So we're an hour and 10 minutes almost in. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. I really appreciate that comment, Go Black. I will pull it off here in a second. Let's see.
Give him a sounder, Moan. Give that man a sounder.
Give Go Black a sounder.
Matt Damon.
Okay.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
Gosh. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Get involved and become a member of the College Football Mafia family. Do that by hitting the join button right in the middle of the main page, and that'll walk you through it. We appreciate all the people that have been with us tonight. We got about another 25 to 30 minutes, probably 25 minutes. If you want your comment to come in, it's going to be tough unless it's a super chat. I'm just telling you right now, I'm sitting on 54 comments that we are going to read. So this point forward, if you want to get your comment in, I'm sorry, it's going to have to be a super chat. Let me get to a few comments here. D5 Terps, and I just want to finish this conversation. Asking Greg Pflugar, then the 10, assuming Notre Dame counts, could break away, possibly penalty free. Greg Pflugar says 10 votes. Yep. And D5 Terps gives him a thumbs up. So basically, according to Greg, that's where we're at.
Why doesn't it happen? 10 votes, you've got them, right?
I don't know why it hasn't happened.
Let's talk about 10 votes. If it hasn't been negotiated out, let's talk about the 10 votes, okay? So I guess Notre Dame would be hey, I don't want to solve this, right? Notre Dame's probably I'm staying. No vote for Notre Dame. Florida State, can we agree that it's a vote?
Yes, of course.
Clemson.
Yes.
Miami.
Yes.
North Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. Virginia.
I don't know about Virginia. That's Moen's call.
Moen, do you think Virginia would vote to dissolve the ACC?
I would say Virginia's a yes. I'd say Virginia's a yes.
Okay.
Okay, now it gets a little bit more hairy, okay? So Stanford.
Depending.
No.
Yeah, they'd need a life. They'd need a life vest to help them.
It's Virginia Tech,
Yes,
if they have a
I
Big
see.
12
I think
mind.
Virginia Tech would be a no.
I don't
Maybe
know
don't
what
have the
that
votes
looks
then.
like, Moen. Why would they do that?
Because they've got to look at it from this point of view. If they're not guaranteed a spot in the SEC or Big Ten, why should they?
Because the
Foment
media
their own-
value, the media value has disappeared from the ACC. That's why. That conference is worth like pennies.
Well, they've
on
still
the
got a
dollar.
media value. They've still got a contract.
I know,
It-
but
they've still got a
we're not talking about
contract,
today.
so-
We're talking about going forward. The ACC would, at the very
Okay,
least, be
but
extremely crippled.
you can do that all in 2031 without taking less money.
I
Maybe
just
exit
if you
fees, too.
blow the conference up, there is no money.
Yes, but you have to have 10 votes to blow the conference up. I
Right,
don't
and
know that
Virginia
there's
Tech
10
gets
votes.
an invite to the Big 12, and they vote yes.
This is interesting exercise. There's 5 for sure votes. 5. And then everything else is a question mark. There's clear no votes. You know,
Sure.
obviously, Boston College is not voting. Wake Forest. Syracuse probably isn't. So maybe you
Right.
just don't have them. Maybe there aren't 10.
Well, we didn't go through them. North Carolina State.
Well, I mean,
Georgia-
if
Georgia
Virginia Tech is like a question mark, then NC State's going to be a question mark.
I'm saying
Louisville
what
would
I'm
be
saying
question mark.
is once they see the math, it makes no sense to stay. The math is the math. It's the finances that were bad a year ago are still going to be bad today. I don't know why we're talking about this.
But
Why
the
all of a sudden-
finances, the
all of
finances
a
are still
sudden-
better than being in the Big 12 right now.
That's absolutely not true. Once the ACC loses its top
Absolutely
brands,
is, because you get all the money that's coming from the payoff.
you got that money to do what
Okay,
with,
but they
Mo?
have a contract that's set forth.
I don't. Okay, all right. Obviously, we disagree.
You'd have to model it out. I mean, if you left and you still had like payouts in the ACC, but you got some exit fee money, then maybe it would be more viable for a couple of years to stay in ACC than jump. I don't know for sure. They'd have to do their own modeling, but it's not such a clear no-brainer at that point.
I think it
thinking about
is. Once you lose those top 4 or 5 brands, I don't even think there is a question to answer.
But they haven't lost them yet. You'd be talking about dissolving the conference, right?
I'm saying about them leaving. They are leaving. It's only a matter of time.
Sure.
Unless they get told no flat out by the SEC and the Big Ten. If that happens, then they blow the ACC up. They reform as a 10-team league, and there you go. Right. But I just do not see how you build a bridge to where the best brands leave, guaranteed spots, and everybody else sits around and says, okay, we're going to take your money and we're going to try to survive on that, knowing that all the other conferences are getting stronger. Big 12 renegotiates again in 2030, 31, and now the ACC is missing over 50% of its viewership. What can it bank on? When it goes to renegotiate, whenever that was, what is their leverage?
Yeah, but I mean, again, you're talking about a future negotiation. Why would they dissolve in 2025, 26, 27?
I didn't say that. I said I'm talking 27, 28.
Okay, why would you dissolve in 27, 28 when you've still got
Because you don't have
more?
that way. You don't have any exit fees, and you can go wherever you want. You're a free agent.
You can go wherever you want and you're a free agent, but you're not making as much money. So I'm saying if you're Virginia
I don't
Tech and
think
you
that's-
don't, okay, let's say Virginia Tech's going to the Big 12. They don't have a spot in the Big 10. They don't have a shot in the
Okay.
SEC. So they go to the Big 12 right now.
Yeah.
What do they make in the Big 12?
31.
31-5.
What are
It
they
got to
making?
about 52 or something like that.
What are
on
they
the
making in the ACC right now?
A little bit more. 53
And what
or
would they
54.
make in the ACC with what they're making now, plus the money they would get from the schools that are leaving?
Minus, you're trying to do a trick and switch here. You're getting that money. You are losing the viewership and the value. You
That
can't
value-
count both as positive.
That value is locked in through 2031, though, Bomber.
It doesn't matter. When everybody else is going to negotiate their deals now, they would be dealing with a conference that has potentially 18 to 20 schools that have a lot of value. So now the Big 12 is going to go up even more. It doesn't matter what happens with the ACC.
Right, but the
Let's
Big 12,
assume that happens with you. Let's assume Virginia Tech and all those schools that you're talking about stay. Who do they bring in immediately? UConn, USF, Memphis. Let's just go down the line. So now they're back at 14. What is the value of that conference? Now, the conference value is based on viewership and DMA.
that
So
conference,
can we sit here now? Can we sit here now and say the minute Florida State leaves, the contract doesn't go back into some sort of exploratory mode to see where they end up? The reason I think that's the case is because that's why they brought in SMU and the Cal and Stanford, was to insulate themselves from this event happening. That's the only reason they brought them in.
I think you're making the assumption that as soon as North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson leave, suddenly those schools make less money than Big 12 teams.
That I'm telling you,
They do
that's
not. They
gonna
still
happen.
make more money than Big 12 teams. At
We
least
don't
through
know, guys. We
2031.
don't know yet how that's
Yeah,
going.
look, the bottom line is you just said, we don't have the contract in front of us, so we can't find out about dissolution. We can't find out if schools leave. What do they do with the contract for media value? We don't have those answers.
No,
But I
we
think
know
I
that-
think in common sense terms, it makes sense that people would want to have something that is growing and vital, rather than trying to rebuild with, by the way, not the cream of the crop AAC schools or whoever else is available. You're getting the also rans, which is again bringing down whatever your media value would be. So I that's my look at it. Yours is completely opposite. Your opinion is valuable, and I'm not talking down about it. I'm literally
I'm just saying
this
why,
is what I see as common sense.
why leave quickly when you can just wait 2 or 3 years and get more money?
Because they
And
have
then
to
still go
stretch
to the
out
Big-
those. They have
still
to
go to the
stretch
Big
out
12.
those payouts somehow.
Well,
Those
they
payouts
will,
still
but
have
you're
to be
still
paid
going to
out.
get.
You're not going to pay them $20 million a year. You're muted.
I
Mo.
understand that, but you're still going to get some payout.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they're
think
not going to
we're
just say,
talking
okay, we're
circles.
going to default all these payments to 15 years in the future.
What I'm saying is,
You're going to get some
we
form of
don't
that
know.
payout.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't
I think
know,
you guys
Mo.
are saying the same thing. The big crux is if it prorates down and we don't know that, then you probably need to leave, depending on how much you're going to be losing in future media rights if it prorates down. But if it doesn't prorate down and you get the same payouts as today, then it might make sense to stay for a couple of years because you get those same payouts and then you get the exit fee money if it does not move, if anyone leaves. I don't think that would happen. I think that it would prorate down. The dollar amount would decrease down. So it would be a tight call. But if it doesn't, then actually the financial play probably is to stay for a couple of years. And then consider jumping to Big 12 after about 2 or 3 years because you're just getting the exit fee money in addition to like media rights.
And I think that's a very viable strategy.
Yeah.
You do, instead of 27 or 28, you do 30, 31. You get as much of that money as you can, bank it, and then you go either rebuild or you go to the Big 12. But just to say outright that their media value is going to stay the same with Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina out of the picture defies logic, in my opinion.
Right. I
Makes
agree with
absolutely
you.
no
sense.
I
Doesn't make any sense.
disagree with you because the ACC has a contract locked in with the ESPN.
But we don't know if it prorates down when those schools leave, Bowen. That's what we don't know. We're arguing about something we don't know.
But still, you're still going to get some money from that payout. They're not going to put that payout 7 years dated into the future.
I don't know what they're going to do with
If
it.
you've got 600, 700 million sitting
We
there,
have no
they're
idea
going to say,
what they're
okay, we'll
gonna
give you.
do.
We don't, but we have a good idea.
Why pay the money at all? That's my point. Why pay the money at all? Just blow the conference up. Everybody knows if you're valuable, you're going to end up somewhere. You're talking about taking money and taking it from Florida State to get out early, whatever that is. Take that 200 million if they wait 2 years.
One, we don't.
They don't get that
Talking
money
about
till Florida
unknowns, we
State
don't know
leaves.
what the rules are.
Okay.
We don't
That's
know
fair.
what the rules are for dissolution for starters.
Right.
Second of all,
yeah,
if you don't have a spot in the Big Ten or the SEC, I don't see you blowing. To me, there's no value in blowing up the conference right away.
Okay. Yeah. Again, we just disagree. That's fine.
I think that when it does happen, though, Nate, what we're going to see is we're going to see very Pac-12-ish behavior with
That's what I'm
snootiness.
saying. That's what
There's
I'm
going to be
saying.
snootiness, like not to jump to the SEC and the Big Ten, but when it comes to jumping over to the Big 12, it's going to get real snooty.
I
again.
totally agree. And I also think that there's a Colorado syndrome that once your best brands leave, i.e. the 4 that went to the Big Ten, you're looking at the exact same picture with Colorado and Louisville. They do not want to be caught napping. And if you don't get aggressive, if you don't get into this instead of just holding into your heart the ACC conference as for whatever reason, that loyalty gives you, at the end of the day, you could be holding water. Do you want to be Washington State or Oregon State if you're Virginia Tech? Is that a risk you want to run just for a few $100 million that you're going to see over a long period of time in a payout? It is the Pac-12 times 2 deuce. It's exactly the same thing. In my opinion, I've seen this movie and I don't know why it's even a debate, but you have looked into Virginia and Virginia Tech, North Carolina State. So I'm going to defer to you on those states. You seem to have your pulse on those guys. So I'm going to say you're probably right. I just think time will tell is all I'm saying.
Mo, let's get to the super chat. Here we go. So MBM gave us a $20 super chat. Texas was, is, and will continue to be the sole bad guy, the destroyer of conferences. The Texas Longhorns, horns down, baby, the destroyer of conferences. Yes, MBM, totally agree. Let's go.
Mo, you have any comment on that?
Badass cowboy living in the cowboy days. Wiggy, wiggy, scratch, yo, yo, bang, bang. Leonardo,
Keep going. There we go. Let's go, baby. Let's get out there.
Let's go.
MBM,
Thank you.
first
MBM.
of all, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Really, really appreciate you. I want to tip my hat to you as well. Thanks for showing up for my Bombers Blitz inaugural edition. That was a lot of fun, and we're going to do more of those things. Did I have it? Is there a second super chat that I missed, Moen? Is that it? I'm just going through our list. Okay, I think that was the only one. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
Let's just work backwards. Here we go. Jimmy Otson, valuable member of the Mafia family. Moen is right, considering that 10 teams are working to bust up the conference right now. I'm not sure what that means. Aren't working. I read it wrong. 10 teams aren't working to bust up the conference right now.
It's an interesting thought. Originally, I thought 10 teams would just dissolve the conference, but then we actually go through the exercise of talking about teams. It's a little bit more gray than I thought. So I agree with Jimmy's comment that, like, it's just not a no-brainer to dissolve today like we thought. If you think it is, because, like, we see it in a certain way, but from their standpoint, maybe they get exit fee money. It might be a little bit – it's definitely more complex for them. Cool, like Virginia Tech and NC State.
I 100% agree with that. I think there are things to consider. It all is on a tipping point of Clemson and Florida State.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Moen, you want to add anything to this since he's talking to you?
No, I agree. I don't think there's 10 teams right now that want to bust up the conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. I think there's 6.
What was the 7 that happened a couple of years ago? The miraculous 7 or something? They talked
It's
about
the teams we're talking about. Yeah.
North Carolina State was Magnificent 7.
The
North Carolina
Magnificent
State was in
7.
that room.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys showed up, so they've definitely considered it. Stormy Cyclone checking in. It's like Pac-Man, eat or be eaten. You go ahead, Mo.
No milkers.
That was different, though. The Magnificent 7, they were talking about leaving the ACC and forming a new, leaner ACC and cutting away some of the milkers.
I think there was some dissolution conversations in there. Greg covered it extensively.
Yes, but that was I believe that was the plan, was to design.
That may have been the plan, but the reason they brought in Cal, Stanford, and the number went from 8 to 10 by bringing in those schools. So really, in that moment, they were this close to dissolution if Notre Dame would have gone along with them. 8 was out. Now the number's 10.
Yep. Pac-Man.
Yeah, I don't know how else to look at that. Note 76. What about Hawaii? They love to travel long distances.
Oh my gosh.
Can't leave
You tell
Hawaii
me
on
what
an
you
island.
used to go to Hawaii. Oh, boom. Da-da, bing. I need a rim shot for that.
Oh, man.
But those Hawaii trips, there were years Hawaii had 10 home games
Wow.
because everybody wants a vacation.
That's nice.
Opie Didon, good to see you, Opie. It's been a minute. OG member of the Mafia family. Nobody has blood on their hands while in the family. Ha, ha, ha.
So what is the Big 12's role in the family? That's what I want to talk about, okay? So if we have different places and everything,
Sure.
who would be who in the family, in the Mafia family? I'd like to get Moan's perspective, like who's Big 10, who's SEC, and who's Big 12 right now in the Mafia family, in the Syndicate.
We can't hear you, Mo. Oh, sorry. There you go.
SEC, they're operating out of New Orleans. The Big 12 is like the Kansas City mob out of Kansas City.
I think the Big 12 is kind of like the hitman right now, trying to get in, trying to get made in the family. And like at the end of the day,
trying to get made.
we're trying,
That's
like
a
the
good
Big
one.
12 needs to get made by finishing
That's a
off
good
ACC to get in the family.
Yeah, that's
basically
true.
the situation. And they're going to have to deliver the shot, be the Pac-Man, gobble it up.
They used to be the guy that worked on the door. Then they put an earhole shot in the Pac-12. They moved up to a rush boy playing poker, still not made a made man. And they're sitting there, okay, what's the plan? You got one more kill to do, and then you're made. That's great. That's a great allegory. I don't know. Yeah. D5 Terp says the Magnificent Seven, I think some of them thought they all had a shot at the P2. Yes, that's what broke it up. Yeah. Absolutely true. Let's see here. Getting above more of these. Steele Austin checking in. Good to see you, Steele. Again, a member of the Mafia family. When ACC dies, I don't see the Big 12 revenue going higher at the next media contract. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go down, actually, in order for ESPN Fox to pay more to expand the P2. Big 12 gets squeezed. I disagree with you, Steele. I disagree just from a core perspective. I don't think that happens in any world. Ute, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you need elite content. So I think that you're going to see a pretty big jump in media rights. Like even the private equity companies think that the next Big 12 deal could be double media rights based on estimates. I agree that these ESPN and Fox are going to squeeze Big 12 though. They're not going to get nearly as much, right? They're going to try to negotiate that down. But based on live sport content, based on the ACC, if it goes away, not having like elite sports content for football, I would imagine it's probably a good sized payday for Big 12, but it will not be in the realm of Big 10 or SEC.
Agreed. Moen?
Moen's a little delayed.
Did we lose you again, Moen? Are you there? His audio has been in and out.
That's okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll just move on to the next one. He can answer it when he gets back. Mr. Ed Wayner, Houston in the house. Good evening. Is it true Nathan has been tampering Wild Ute? Tampering. Oh, the favorite word at Utah et al. Tampering. And you know
what is tampering? Let's talk about tampering.
Tampering is you deal with a direct entity and they do things to upset the way you do business. And then they illegally will try to bring in people from their organizations to yours. That's tampering. What's
tampering in form of college football? In the form of college football,
in my opinion, there isn't tampering anymore because they don't need to. They have third-party NIL. They have sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and social media. I don't think there is tampering in college football anymore. I don't think you'll find it. You're not going to find a tweet from Kalani Sitake that says, "Hey, last night I talked to Smith Stone. Yeah, man, we had a great conversation." That will never happen. So
no, that will never happen.
Utah complaining about a rule that is effectively been neutered.
Well, hey, Utah's just trying to play by the rules here. The rules.
Everybody's playing by the rules. Yeah, thank you, Ed. I appreciate you for queuing that up. You and I aren't going to get into it on that one.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Not right now.
Call me David. If the ACC goes away, what happens to the ACC network? The Big 12 network? I could see that. What do you think?
Yeah, the ACC network could become the Big 12 network, depending on if it survives or not. If the ACC survives in some iteration and backfills, then it's going to stay around and be the ACC network. But if not, if it completely dissolves, I think it could be the Big 12 network. The other question is it worthwhile having your own network in this new iteration of how to watch football?
Right.
Is it valuable? Really, 10 years ago it was valuable when the Big 10 network was originated. It was valuable, but I just question the value of a network today. What's something like, because ESPN's going to own it, right? Or Fox is going to own it. And so you're not going to have the level of distribution probably like on a Netflix or somewhere else that you could put your content on.
Listen, you're going to have to partner with somebody. I think if we learned anything from the Pac-12 network, you have to have a media partner.
Yep, absolutely.
You have to have somebody who's invested in making sure that you survive. I think, again, I've mentioned it before several times, Big 12 network, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yes.
They've got that Turner Sports channel sitting out there.
Yep.
Makes all the sense in the world for that to become Big 12 network, or the Big 12 network on Turner Sports, or some.
We haven't talked about that in a long time, have we, Moen? Right. It's been a long time since we've talked about that Warner Brothers deal and how that could help the Big 12.
Yeah, it's certainly, because look, it's been mentioned before. It's right. Fox and ESPN and CBS and NBC, and they're on board with the Power 2. They're going to put the most money towards the Power 2 because they're the two most valuable conferences. So they're going to be able to lowball the Big 12. And it's like on my video from the other night talking about when Jim Delaney originally got lowballed by ESPN, and he said, well, if you're willing to roll that dice, Jim Delaney said, let the dice be rolled. And he went and started the Big 10 network. And now it's the richest conference among all college conferences. So if Brett Yormark and whoever's in charge at Time Warner at the time decides, hey, let's let the dice be rolled, let's try this out, maybe we can get something to work here, maybe we have more programming for Max doing it this way, maybe we can maybe up the cost of how much it costs to distribute Max.
What if you distribute and do Mountain West games? You could sub and bring in other parties.
Yeah.
If you have access to the channel. That way you're not watching ice skating at 2 a.m. on the Pac-12 network, ice skating or swimming. Their off hours programming was brutal. Pac-12.
What's the Big 10 network like? Same thing? The Big 10 network?
I think the Big 10 network is probably the most professional network of any of these sub brands. I think it's sharp, it's clean, and their people don't talk too much.
It definitely had a growing period where it needed to figure what it was out. But since then, I think it, like Bomber says, it's got much cleaner, much more professional, much more, I would almost even say a charm to it. You know who the Big 10 network people are.
Yeah.
They're different from your ESPN people. The people on the SEC network are all ESPN people.
They are. And they're obnoxious. That's where ESPN loses me. I don't want to watch College Game Day. I just cannot watch ESPN College Game Day. I have to watch Fox. So, I don't know. Moen, this one's for you. If Notre Dame, Stanford, Carolina, Miami, Duke grab Kansas, Colorado, Utah, BYU, and Texas Tech, I like that conference. What do you think about that conference, guys?
Sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knock yourselves out. I don't have a problem with that as long as Notre Dame's in a conference.
Yeah, that's probably the one thing that'll get us.
But the reality is you're all going to be paying Notre Dame twice as much.
Yeah.
They're not going to be held to the same standards as you. Yeah. So
we've got about 10 minutes, everybody. This is our final countdown. 10 minutes, and then we're out of here. Friends call me Sean. Another valuable longtime member of the College Football Mafia family. UNC, UVA, FSU, Clemson, Miami, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame and Stanford leave around 2027. NC State, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Syracuse leave for Big 12 once exit fee drops in 2030. After fee drops to $75 million, and they collect their share of the payouts. I'm assuming that's where that went. What do you guys think about those teams and that breakdown?
That's what we're talking about. I mean, like, yeah, if you can get the fees and the money is going to be similar to your current situation, that's got to be a viable plan. But Nate, you brought a very great point up, actually, when we were talking about it. Do you want to be Washington State or Oregon State?
Right.
That is the ultimate risk. You are risking big time if you don't grow the brand and you get left out of the Big 12 in 2030, 2029, or whenever. You are so much worse off than you would ever be. So do you want to take that risk? That's a great question. I don't know if you could take that risk. You might just have to go for the guaranteed spot.
Moen?
I think they're in two completely different situations. The Big 12 needs more East Coast time slots.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yep.
The Big 12 did not need more West Coast time slots.
Unfortunately, no.
That's why they did not take Oregon State or Washington State.
Right. Geography. They're slaves to geography, unfortunately.
Yes. They're slaves to geography. So there's going to be schools like Syracuse. Syracuse probably would not get to the Big 12, regardless if they leave in 2027 or 2030 or 2033.
Yeah, they're an other. I think
they're probably going to be left up there with UConn and whoever, basketball first predominantly conference the new ACC is.
Right.
So if you're North Carolina State, again, this is what I'm saying. You can just wait 3 years, maybe get a little more money, collect some of that share of that payout, and then you can go to the Big 12.
Yeah,
the Big 12's not going to say no to you in 3 years.
Nope.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, it's a prisoner's dilemma.
That's
if everyone's jumping.
Yes.
Like, do you want to be left behind? Like, could you be left behind? Maybe. And if you get left behind, the ramifications are going to be horrendous.
I've said it for 2 years. If Pitt changed its mind, totally went balls deep with the Big 12, they could get the very first Colorado invite and maybe even a little cash for moving first. That is a possibility. They could try to jump ahead of everybody else and say, we don't want to be what happened out there. We want to be in control of our own destiny. So we're going to bite our egos and we're going to sit down and actually join the Big 12. And, hey, we've got the backyard brawl. They could absolutely steal a spot that could have gone to somebody else if they get proactive. And I don't think they're going to do that.
I question the value, Pitt, guys. Like, just in general, I mean, one of the most valuable attributes is the backyard brawl, bringing in conference. But you can still play that with Pitt, even if they're not in conference. Pitt's going to want to play that.
Right.
I don't know that Pitt drives the value for an invite anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
West Virginia already, and Morgantown's an hour away from Pittsburgh. Like, it's not like you're completely out of that Pittsburgh market being in West Virginia with having West Virginia. So I would say that Virginia Tech's probably a more compelling ad.
Than Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Well, Pitt's not getting an invite. The Big 12 is not going to go through another saga like Utah. That's not going to happen. So, Seminole School, good to have you here, Seminole School. FSU in the house, love you, man. Thanks for showing up. Longtime member of the College Football Mafia family. Says, hello, Mafia. Just hopped on. Haven't heard anything yet, but I totally disagree with Moen. I think that's his pat answer.
I think that's pretty much his standard answer. So we'll give him a little clap for it.
That's funny. Let's see here. Let's get to some more comments. John Graysmith again. I agree with Moen. Miami thrived as an independent, being separated geographically from other Southern teams. Moen?
Well, he's right. I mean, when they were in the Big East, I don't think there was any. I'm trying to think what the closest Big East team was to them.
Old Big East.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't. I thought you were done.
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody let me know. I don't remember enough of the Big East.
That was a saga. I watched that on ESPN the other day. That was crazy what happened to the Big East. College football, peek around the corner. Greg Flugar, another comment, says, I don't believe there is dissolution language in the ACC bylaws, so it reverts to North Carolina's state law on dissolving a nonprofit organization, which is 50+1. Dissolution might have been bargained away. Just so we're clear what Greg thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate your comment. Glad to have you here, man. Let's get to some more movie time blues. I doubt a flight from Miami to Seattle would happen every year, maybe 1 or 2 seasons every 5 years. You've done those schedules, Moen. How many times would a Miami have to fly to Oregon or Washington? And in what time frame?
I think there would be a home and away every 4 years.
Okay.
So probably every 4 years. I'd have to go back and actually look at it because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was you play everybody
Once every 4 years.
Once every 4 years, and
Okay.
you make your home and away every 8 years, maybe.
So you could conceivably go from year 4 to year 8 and only play the 2 times.
Yeah.
Home and away.
Yeah,
Okay.
the way I set up the Delaney plan, it also dealt a lot with regional pods. Not
Okay.
that they were based off of division, but it just made travel easier for everybody.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Movie Time Blues checking in here at the end of the show. Appreciate you waiting for me to get to your comment. I doubt a flight from Miami to Seattle would happen. Oh, sorry. I already did that. My bad. Let's get to 2 more, and then we're going to check out tonight. Friends call me Sean. I think the big as Miami, Georgia. I already did that. No, I didn't. Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, Stanford. So that's 4. 9-game conference schedule, which I believe they already have. 3 annual rivals. Rotate 6. I don't know what that means. Everyone plays everybody every 3 years. So, do you have an opinion on that?
That's similar to the plan I put forth, but it was with
Right, it
20
sounds
teams
similar.
instead of 22.
Right. That's exactly right. All right, one more question that's going to light everybody up. A good one to leave on.
Whoop, whoop.
Jason Roberts, good to have you. Or Jansen, sorry. Jansen Roberts, welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. I think we're pretty entertaining. He says, Big 12 needs FSU to go to the SEC or the Big 10 for that matter, with UNC, Clemson, and UVA. Otherwise, Kansas will be joining them as number 20. Kansas they are in the picture. I don't know where Kansas can end up. There's so many different options available. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't throw it out. I think this is a pretty good comment right here. If Florida State does not get into the SEC and they've got an open spot and they've got 19 teams and they want to get to 20, KU is going to be one of the most desirable teams. At contiguous fit, Missouri rivalry, basketball brand, it checks a lot of boxes, makes a lot of sense. I would not cross that out at all.
Moen?
I agree with you. I think, look, Kansas is clearly the most attractive Big 12 option available out there right now for the
Today.
Big 10 and the
Yep.
SEC.
Yep.
But I will
I don't
say
think the Big 10, Mo. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You said Big 10? I didn't say
Yeah,
Kansas.
I think SEC clearly, yeah.
Yeah.
Of the I'm saying of the Big 12 teams,
Right.
the most attractive candidate to both the Big 10 and the SEC would be the University of Kansas.
And what we're saying is we don't
For the
think
Big
Kansas
Ten?
goes
I
to
don't
the
know
Big
about
Ten.
that.
I
Really?
don't think Kansas goes to the Big 10 or the SEC.
Sure.
I'm just saying that if we were going to look at the Big 12 candidates and say which one is the most attractive to the Big 10, I think it's Kansas. If we're going to say which one's the most attractive to the SEC, I also think it's Kansas.
Okay. All right. That's very fair. And I thought I had one more on here. OPD Don at Moen. I love that show. I am hoping if you weren't too drained from it that you can do a second one. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
An SEC scheduling one with the
Oh.
SEC scheduling and pods.
Okay.
Opie, I am going to do it. Give me a little time to rest up. That last one was pretty exhausting, but I'm going to do one for the SEC, and then I'm going to do one that's going to combine the Big 10, Big 12, and SEC to try and get even more quality matchups available for all college football fans.
That'd be great. That would be great. Last comment from Jack Matheson, new to the channel. Make sure you subscribe, Jack. We've gone 2 hours almost. When we're done, go back and watch the beginning of the show. It was a lot of fun. And we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Sorry we're catching you at the end of the show. Big 12 needs to do everything to keep Kansas.
Yeah. Big 12 needs to do everything to keep every school, meaning make more money and get more exposure.
Yeah.
Make it so
absolutely.
you're so attractive the teams don't want to leave if you're serious about being in the A3 and making a syndicate. You got it.
Yeah, I think that well put. Moen, what do you think? We lose him again.
No, I'm here. I just
okay.
I didn't know what you wanted me to fill in there.
Oh, I just wondered if you had a comment. That's all.
No. I don't.
All right, let's do another one for somebody that just showed up. Joseph Kerlegan Jr. I hope the SEC, Big 10, Big 12 divide the ACC evenly. Make Notre Dame join a conference by force. I am a Notre Dame fan.
No way.
That is Joseph. Joseph, we are with you, brother. You got to follow us. You got to subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Twitter. We agree with everything you just said.
I think he's baiting us. If he's a Notre Dame fan, he's like,
I don't care. I'm
going
to take him at his word. I'm going to take him at his word.
Maybe he is a Notre Dame fan and he just realizes it's not 100 years ago anymore. And, maybe it's time to join a conference with the rest of us and maybe join a conference that has rivals like USC and Michigan State and Purdue and potentially Miami and all your existing rivals in it already.
Make sure you get 125% revenue distribution, though, if you go to the Big Ten. Don't just take that standard payout that Ohio State is so generous to accept and everything. Make sure you get your share, Notre Dame.
Joseph, I think Notre Dame stays independent, so there you go. Yeah, you've got all sides of that dice have been colored. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll catch you in future shows. And one more from John Engel. These are all new people that have joined us just in the last few minutes. Big 12 will not invite anyone until 2030. They don't have the money. They
can go to the TV partners and get pro rata. They can talk about it at least. It's not going to be a guaranteed. Yeah. Fox will not give it up unless you negotiate with it. ESPN would, based on my understanding of the Big 12 contract. So you would have partial pro rata. But I think that if the ACC falls apart and ESPN loses that content, they might pony up more for Big 12 content because they need it. So I think that you could probably get it done at the current level. Everyone else is getting paid before 2030.
Again, I think they probably will invite someone before 2030, but I think it's going to be like at 2029. So maybe like a year before 2030.
Yeah, and let's qualify that. You say you're going to leave in 27. You actually leave in 29.
Yeah.
That's just so everybody knows what we're talking about. All right, we are going to go. I appreciate everybody being with us tonight. This has been a fun College Football Mafia Network Big Freaking Friday. If you don't know who I am, let me take off the banner so you can actually see who's talking, since we've had it on the whole time. Make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Get involved. Answer. Give us a thumbs up. Give us comments and questions. Talk to us on Twitter. We don't run from anybody. And lastly, we invite you to become a member of the College Football Mafia family by hitting the join button right in the middle of the College Football Mafia page on YouTube, and become part of what we're trying to do here. Moen, last words as we go.
Yeah, join myself and Rock and Ran on Sunday night at 7 p.m. for Moen After Dark. We'll be talking up some fun stuff there. Probably talking a lot about the NFL draft that took place. Shadur Sanders still hasn't been picked yet, guys.
No way.
Actually,
Seattle's gonna
the quarterback from Louisville got drafted.
Schuff?
Schuff
That
got
guy's
drafted,
not even that good.
Got drafted by the New Orleans Saints ahead of Shadur Sanders.
Okay, so just for a second, let's talk about that. Shadur's slipping through the second, potentially to the third round, has to be the worst draft pick setup in the history of publicizing the putting out and covering the NFL draft. He was supposed to be top 5,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're saying potentially third round. That's just, there's markers out there the public don't know about. That's all I can say. That's it. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. All right. Well, I think everybody's tired. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you so much. Wild Ute, any last words?
Yeah, if there's going to be a Big 10, SEC, and Big 12 syndicate, then the Big 12 needs to be made. And
Let's
the
get
Big
it made.
12 Needs to be made, and that
Let's do it.
means that they need to go after the ACC, baby.
We need
That's
a
how we
graphic
get
for
made.
that, Moen. We need a graphic for the whoever's been made. Big 12's been made. We
Big
need
12 needs to
something.
be made.
listen, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC are opening the books.
Opening
We're
the
open-
books, baby.
We're
Books,
opening
baby.
the books.
Let's go.
We're accepting new members. So
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble. Travel safe. If you get that prompting to talk to somebody you haven't seen in years, give them a call. I guarantee you they'd love to hear from you. And just everybody have a great night. Moen's show, Sunday night, 8 Eastern. Right, Moen? 8. And then next week, we'll have a sit-down show and probably another Bombers Blitz. Those shows are relatively new, but we're going to be doing them more. And that's it. I'm done. My voice is gone. So for Wild Ute, for Moen, Wild Ute, everybody have a great night. Stay out of trouble. And I'm going to say peace out.